Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Preston here. So, this is a little bit of a later video. I had school, I had to do, you know, my stuff. I had to be responsible. And this is most likely going to be the only video I'm going to be doing today because, I have to be responsible and, do some homework and stuff like that because it's almost the end of the year. So, gotta finish off strong. So, absolutely. So, but this is my preview and prediction for Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez. This is going to be a very, very good fight. I'm actually really looking forward to this fight. It's on Saturday. Have no clue what time the fight is. It's in the Madison Square Garden Arena in, I believe, Las Vegas. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's in Las Vegas. And stuff like that. And this is going to be a very good fight, and I just can't wait. But let's get to the tail of the tape, people. The tail of the tape. Pull this up. All right, first up we got Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is 19-0 with 13 knockouts with 0 draws. His recent fights were against Regis Prograis. Well, let's start off like this. Ivan Baranchek, Regis Prograis, Abnan Kongsong, Jose Carlos Ramirez, which is, Jose Ramirez, we all know who that is. And then had a kind of a controversial fight with Jack Catterall. But I ain't gonna lie to you, even though he did get dropped in that fight, I could still see how Taylor won the fight. But Jack Catterall did bring it. He did bring it. And now Josh Taylor is fighting Teofimo Lopez for the WBO super lightweight world title. Right. Teofimo Lopez is coming into the fight with a record of 18 wins, 1 loss, with 13 knockouts with 0 draws. His recent fights were Masayoshi Nakatani, right? He fought Masayoshi. Oh yeah, yes, I remember that day. He gave Masayoshi his first loss. His first fight was against Masayoshi Nakatani. Not his first fight, but he won against Masayoshi Nakatani. Richard Comey had a big upset win against Vasily Lomachenko. Lost against George Kambosos. The fight was a little controversial against George Kambosos. You could argue that Teofimo won that fight, but Teofimo just didn't look that impressive against George Kambosos. And he was also getting hit quite a lot by George Kambosos. So that's also why he lost that fight. If you want my honest opinion, I did think that fight was a draw. I think that just giving the win to George Kambosos like that, in my opinion, was a little uncalled for. But what the heck, you can't really say anything about that. After that, he had a comeback fight against Pedro Campa, who was 34-1 and won by a TKO. I forgot what round. It doesn't really say on the computer. I think it was like round 7 or something. And then he beat Sandor Martin in a really close split decision win. The thing is, though, Sandor Martin keeps bringing in really, really, really tough fights. And I didn't really get to see that fight against Sandor. I saw the highlights, but I didn't really get to see that much of that fight. But people were saying that Sandor Martin, won the fight. There's people saying Teofimo Lopez edged the fight. My boy, Blue Collar Sports TV, he actually said that that he thought that Teofimo Lopez won the fight, and it was the right call. I haven't really watched the fight, so I don't really know what to say. And his next fight is obviously against Josh Taylor for, again, the WBO World Super Lightweight title. All right. Now let's get to this, how the fighters are. All right. So, first fighter we have is Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is really good at mixing up his shots. Well, hold on. Let me slow down. Josh Taylor is really good at mixing up at his pressure fighting and his boxing style, but is very technical with the style because he knows how to frustrate his opponents when he comes forward and leans on each side of the fighter's shoulders. Because I see in a lot of the fights that Taylor kind of likes to lean on each of the fighter's shoulder. He did it against Regis Prograis, but he does it so then he kind of because that's his way of how he moves his head around, and then so then he so then he can avoid punches, and he knows how to afford, obviously avoid, punches and stuff like that. And the thing is also is that he also has non-stop pressure. He has obviously just like I said, he has really really good non-stop pressure, and I feel like that's gonna play a very big factor in that fight. Adding on to Josh Taylor's boxing skills, Taylor, when he is dedicated, he actually has really good footwork. And it proved in the Jose Ramirez fight because he was making it difficult for Ramirez to come in because Jose Ramirez is a volume puncher. But one of the most important things in this fight is Josh Taylor knows how to adapt really well in the fights because Josh Taylor's style of fighting is extremely hard for any fighter. Taylor is very good at not wasting any time with his chances of throwing his punches. Whenever he attempts to try to come in, he still comes in with combos. He never what I mean by that is that he doesn't come in and then kind of just stalls and then doesn't throw anything. Whenever he comes in, he throws his shots. He doesn't waste any of his shots. But I feel like Taylor is a little too hard on his front foot. And when you go against a fighter like Teofimo Lopez, that's not really the best idea to do because then that would be an easier target for Teofimo Lopez. And I feel like Taylor leaves his chin a little too wide open. So if someone was quick like Teofimo Lopez, he would easily get caught by every single time. Taylor is way too committed with his pressure skills, and that's not really that good when you leave your chin exposed for Teofimo Lopez to hit you. But also, this might not sound as bad, but Taylor never gives up. He never, hold on, not never gives up, but Taylor never backs up. Even when he takes shots, he still keeps going forward. When he's continuously getting hit in the face, and when you fight someone, and when you continuously get hit in the face, and when you fight against a guy like Teofimo Lopez, you might just get forced back, and then Taylor wouldn't know what to do, because then he has to, then he's kind of just holding his punches because he's kind of scared of getting hit by Teofimo Lopez. All right, now next fighter, Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is very accurate. And what makes it better for him in this fight is that he has enough speed for whenever Taylor wants to throw something. Because we saw Teofimo utilize his speed against his opponents like Lomachenko and George Kambosos. Even though he lost against Kambosos, but that was kind of a controversial fight. Just like I said, it could have gone either way, and it should have been a draw, or they should have just gave it to Teofimo Lopez, because I understand why they gave the fight to Kambosos, but they could have just gave the fight to Teo because they both did the same work. Nobody did better than anybody in that fight. I thought Teo could have deserved that win. Also, he's very good at being patient and timing with his shots. Teofimo is a very patient fighter. In all of his fights, he's always patient until the opponent wants to attack, and then he throws his power shots. He's also very powerful. Obviously Teofimo has a lot of power because he got a lot of his opponents out of there with his relentless power. He's also very quick at jumping in and out with his punches. Because, even though sometimes Teofimo might, overthink and not punch, but whenever he doesn't overthink and then he just throws his shots, and sometimes he doesn't even overthink. sometimes he just throws his shots and then he doesn't really know where to throw it at, in this fight. But he got to be a little more precise against, a guy like Josh Taylor, and stuff like that. But the thing is, but the flaws about Josh Taylor is that Josh Taylor does fatigue in the later rounds. Even though he still manages to do good in the later rounds and he could still outbox you and could outbox anybody in the later rounds. But if if Taylor can land body shots in this fight, I feel like he could tire out Teofimo, and stuff like that. And I feel like that's why he was fatigued in the later rounds, is because I feel like Teofimo would get hit a little too much to the body, and then he would be kind of waiting with his shots because he's going to be gassing out, because Teofimo already gasses out when he throws his punches. And when you go against a guy like Josh Taylor that throws a lot of body shots, he's going to slow down and he's going to, fatigue. Even though Teofimo has good footwork at bouncing in and out on his opponents, but Teo does get clumsy and stays in front of the fighter that he's fighting a little too long for someone like Taylor to deliver punches on Teofimo Lopez. My final prediction for this fight: Teofimo Lopez is going to be doing really good at not missing his chances to throwing punches when Taylor comes forward. And I feel like also what's going to play a big factor is his quickness and power. And what's going to be very tough is Taylor is going to have to take punches. And Taylor had been in a fight with Jack Catterall and was getting picked apart by Jack Catterall. And he was also getting buzzed in that fight too, and stuff like that. And Jack Catterall isn't a hard puncher like Teofimo Lopez, because Teofimo, just like I said, is very patient and he's very quick, so he's going to be catching Taylor numerous of times. Taylor is going to do really good by showing his boxing, because Taylor is also got a very underrated jab when he is committed. And I feel like in the later rounds, that's when Taylor is going to start putting the pressure, and outwork Teofimo Lopez. And would also slow down Teofimo Lopez is the body shots of Taylor. And I think that Taylor is going to know that in this fight, because Teofimo, even though he's able to go the full 12 rounds, but his footwork struggles to go the full 12 rounds, especially when you're forced to throw a lot of shots, and Taylor is very good, hold on, let me rephrase what I said. He's really good at, he could go the full 12 rounds, but his footwork can't go the full 12 rounds, especially when he's getting forced to throw a lot of shots against a guy like Taylor. And Taylor is very good at getting better in the later rounds, and overall is really good at lasting all 12 rounds without being all that tired. But for my final prediction in this fight, this is going to be a good fight, and it's really hard to predict this fight, but my heart is telling me that Josh Taylor is going to edge out a very, 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 very close split decision. I honestly feel like I would probably score the fight a draw when the fight ends. But if someone does win this fight, in my opinion, I am going to have to pick Josh Taylor by just a very narrow split decision. Mainly, just like I said, Taylor gets tired in the later rounds. Not Taylor, excuse me. Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez does get tired in the later rounds. And since he does get tired in the later rounds, it's like, again, the body shots of Taylor is going to affect Teofimo Lopez, and that's going to slow him down even more. And then he might not even throw that powerful of shots. And when he's not going to be throwing that powerful of shots, I feel like that's really not going to phase Taylor all that much anymore. And I just feel like his power is going to decrease in the fight. Teofimo got a lot of power. Power is everything. Not everything. But when you don't know how to have power all through the fight like that, and you're getting broken down by a guy like Josh Taylor, it really favors Josh Taylor in this fight because he's a really good body puncher. You don't really ever see Teofimo go to the body. He's a headhunter, and he's not going to slow down Taylor with the body shots. So in this fight, I got Josh Taylor by a very, very close split decision. Alright guys, so that's my final prediction for this fight. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'm Preston, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.